It's been 5 years since I've last showed off my PS4 and Xbox One game collection. It's crazy to think that it's already been 5 years, but here we are. And this is going to be probably the last video I ever do showing off my Gen 8 collection. In fact, I'm going to lump everything together in this video. I'm going to do it in the updated format that I've done my, mid-generation game collection and so on ever since. So this is going to be basically the last look at my PS4 and Xbox One games. At this point, I basically have all the games that I wanted to get for those systems. And it'd be a nice send-off, I think, for my collections for that generation. All right, so anyway, we have a lot of games to get to, guys. In fact, in this video in particular, I have a total of 190 games across both systems that I'm going to show off, and I'm going to talk about very briefly each individual game. All right, so if you wanted a video where you basically get to hear my brief, quick thoughts on a lot of the games released in the last generation, well, you can get so here. I do plan to do reminiscing videos on these games as we progress further on in time, just waiting for these games to get a little bit older before we start kind of looking back at some of these titles and considering them more, reminiscing, retro-ish, if you will, right? So we'll go on from there, but I hope you guys really enjoy this. This is a long one, so grab some popcorn, and I'll see you guys at the end of it. All right, everyone, so like I said, I'm going to kind of go through this as quickly as I possibly can. I'll show you guys the case, and I'll try to talk really briefly about basically my experience with the game, if I had some, and we'll kind of move on from there. But we got a lot of games to look forward to, so we're going to start with the Xbox One games. Let's take a look. All right, first up, I have my Assassin's Creed games here. We have Assassin's Creed Unity, which I had a lot of fun with, Assassin's Creed Origins, which is also a really cool game, and then Assassin's Creed Odyssey, which is basically my favorite as far as like the RPG Assassin's Creed games go. I have not played Shadows or Mirage after this, but I had equally fun with a lot of these games, in their own right and stuff like that, and it'd be nice to kind of go back and do reminiscing videos on them sometime in the future, so perhaps I'll do that. All right, we have Marvel's Avengers up next. Man, this was a bit of a disappointing game for me personally. I was not a fan of the direction they took this in, and yeah, I just didn't care for it. It was a pretty looking game though, so yeah, that's about all I can say. Okay, we have some Battlefield games up next. We have Battlefield Hardline as well as Battlefield 5. I actually remember liking Battlefield Hardline. It'd be interesting to actually go back and play the game again and kind of see what I think of it now. Battlefield 5 I didn't think was as interesting as Battlefield 1, but these games are always fun for like a single playthrough in their own right, so I at least had fun doing that. Okay, next up we have the remaster collection for the BioShock franchise. I love the BioShock games, all three of them, playing the original copies, and now that they're remastered here on the new consoles, that's just excellent. So this is a fun collection to play through and get to see those games upgraded in 4K on the Xbox One X. Okay, I got my Call of Duty games on Xbox One. We have Advanced Warfare as well as World War II. Always enjoyed playing these games for the campaign. Really can't talk too much about these. Advanced Warfare was fun for the multiplayer, was kind of short-lived though, and I thought the same thing with World War II. So these are kind of fun as a single playthrough for the story mode, and I'll go back and do reminiscing videos on them in the future. All right, Crackdown 3 is up next. Man, I remember a lot of hype surrounding this game, and ultimately I actually had fun with the game, although I'm not a big Crackdown fan, so my expectations were just kind of minimal, to say the least, but I had a good time with this one. I thought it was fine. All right, one of my favorite games of the generation up next. This is Remedy's Control, and in my opinion, the best game from Remedy they've ever made. I just love the gameplay of this, the world, the characters, and everything like that. It was just so much fun. And definitely I'm itching to go back for a third playthrough of this game, and also cannot wait for the sequel that is being worked on right now. Okay, we got my only Dark Pictures game here on Xbox One. This is Man of Medan. Now, if you like these type of style games, narrative adventure games and stuff like that, you'll have a good time with this. This is fun as like a single playthrough, and I'm looking forward to as well the Directive 8020, which is the new season for the Dark Pictures anthology later this year. All right, we have Dark Souls Remastered. I actually started playing this game because I never actually played the original, and then I got lost somewhere through. I think I was like halfway through the game, and I just haven't found a way to actually, I guess, find my way back, or I think I might have hit like a brick wall I needed to grind or something like that. I don't know, but anyway, I might go back and play this again in the future sometime. All right, we have Dead or Alive 6 up next. I believe this is the worst cover art of any game this entire generation. It just looks like placeholder art. I was quite surprised that was the actual cover. This this is an okay fighter. I'm not a huge Dead or Alive fan. I played Dead or Alive 4 and 5, but you know, Dead or Alive 6 to me felt kind of uninspired, kind of phoned in, so don't really have too much to say on it. All right, we have the Day 1 2013 version of Dead Rising 3, a launch title for Xbox One. This game was okay. I'm not a big Dead Rising fan personally, although the first game is really just a lot of fun, you know, and I did a reminiscing video on that, and you know, they went ahead and remastered it for you know, with the new engine and stuff like that. So this would be interesting to go back for another playthrough and see if it's as good or as bad as I remember. Okay, we have the remake of Destroy All Humans up next. I love the Destroy All Humans franchise and played these games as a kid, and just seeing how they remade them with you know, the Unreal Engine and stuff like that is just awesome. So I had a lot of fun playing through this. This was really fun. Okay, we have Devil May Cry 5 up next, an excellent hack and slash and just action game altogether. I love the visuals in this game. This game is just really a lot of fun, and just for the time it was really mind-blowing as well with the graphics. So this was a good time. Okay, we have Dishonored Death of the Outsider up next. Although a spin-off game, it continues off of the events of Dishonored 2 and pretty much ends the storyline. So it's kind of sad that Arcane Austin is no longer with us. I'm really just annoyed that Microsoft shut them down, but you know, I don't know if we'll ever see another Dishonored game, but at least this game actually concludes the main story that they were telling. All right, got my Far Cry games up next. We have Far Cry 5 and Far Cry New Dawn. Both of these games I had a good time playing, and I know a lot of people don't really care for New Dawn, but as a direct sequel to Far Cry 5, I thought it was a lot of fun, and I love the world and the weapons and stuff like that. So I'll do a reminiscing video on these games sometime in the future. All right, we got my mainline Forza Motorsport games. We have Forza Motorsport 5, the Day 1 2013 variant, and then Forza Motorsport 6 as well as 7. Man, I had a good time playing all of these games. Forza 5 as a launch title was just awesome, even though it was a smaller size game in comparison to the Forza 4. And then 6 was just really fun, and I love the Brazilian track and the graphics in this. Forza Motorsport 7 just had a ton of content. It was a bit overwhelming at times, but you know, being that this is probably the last traditional Forza game that we'll ever have, you know, at least they went out with a bang. That's all I have to say, is there's just so much content in this, it'll last you a lifetime. And speaking on Forza, we have my Horizon games. We have Forza Horizon 2, Horizon 3, as well as Horizon 4. I always loved the Horizon games. You know, I played the original on Xbox 360 and it just fell in love with it. All of these games are equally awesome in their own right. I have to say Forza Horizon 3 is my favorite in the franchise, though. I just love this game to death, and I love the location and stuff. I just had so much fun playing it. So yeah, I always enjoy going back to these. It's just a good time. All right, and we have the Gears of War games up next. We have Gears of War Ultimate Edition, Gears of War 4, as well as Gears 5. Now we're getting a re-release of Ultimate Edition on PlayStation and Xbox Series X with 4K textures and all that stuff later this year. So it's going to be interesting to play this on a PlayStation console for the first time. That's going to be really crazy. As far as the new line of games go, I didn't really care for the way that they continued the storyline here. I didn't like the characters much. Gears 5 is a really good game, though. Like, they got the gameplay just perfect on this game, and it really kind of advanced the formula. So I had a fun time playing through that, but Gears 4 was kind of just mid, in my opinion. All right, we've got some Halo games up next. We have the Master Chief Collection as well as Halo 5, one of the best collections of gaming just altogether, and this is the launch version, so, you know, it was later updated with other games like ODST and Reach and stuff like that. So yeah, and in Halo 5, I like the multiplayer for this, but yeah, the story was just kind of all over the place. I wasn't really a fan of 343 games story-wise, but I always had fun in their multiplayers, so yeah, just nice to have these games, I guess, on disc and stuff like that. And well, these days, you know, you can get them on PC and stuff like that through the Master Chief Collection. So that's just awesome. All right, next up we have my physical copy of Hellblade: Senua's Sacrifice. I have not played Hellblade 2 yet, and I'm still holding out to see if we're going to get a physical copy. As you can see, this is sealed because I originally played Hellblade: Senua's Sacrifice on PlayStation 4 when it was an exclusive and launched there digitally on the PlayStation Store. So before I play Hellblade 2 sometime in the future, I'm going to go back and play through this on the Xbox Series X. I believe it's been upgraded and stuff like that, so that'll be a good time. All right, next up we have Hitman 2, an excellent game. I just love what IO Interactive has done with the Hitman games, and this game's levels and stuff like that are just exceptional. So just always a fun time playing through this, and just enjoyed these games immensely. Okay, we have Homefront: The Revolution up next. I was very surprised we were getting a sequel to Homefront from 2011, but you know, here we are, we have it, and I really like what they did with the gameplay of this, the exploration, the ability to go approach missions in any way that you want. I actually enjoyed this game for what it was. Narratively, though, you know, it was kind of just a letdown, but as far as the gameplay went, I enjoyed it. Alright, we have Jurassic World Evolution up next. I did a live stream of this and I just fell in love with this game. It's been so long since I played a park builder, I think since the original Roller Coaster Tycoon days. But this franchise is just awesome. They did such a great job with it. It's a lot of fun and just I just really enjoy playing it. It's just a fun time for me. Alright, we have my favorite RPG of the last generation, Kingdom Come Deliverance. Just an excellent, excellent game. I have the sequel, but I have not played it yet. And I think I did an unboxing for you guys when the sequel came out earlier this year. Just awesome, and I'm just so happy that the sequel got a lot of attention because a lot of people kind of skipped on this. This is a kind of a sleeper hit, but it was just an incredible game. All right, we got some Life is Strange games up next. We have Before the Storm as well as Life is Strange 2. Now, Before the Storm, I was actually pleasantly surprised about. I really enjoyed my time playing through this, and I liked Chloe and the story that they told here as sort of a lead up to the events of Life is Strange. And then Life is Strange 2, to me, was like shock value. I did not enjoy this game as much. In fact, it's my least favorite in the Life is Strange franchise. And it just felt like tonally very different from what I was expecting or even the rest of the game. So anyway, you know, these are fun as like a single playthrough, I guess. But yeah, I didn't really care that much for Life is Strange 2. All right, we have Mad Max up next. Avalanche Studios' best game, in my opinion, and a big sleeper hit for the whole entire generation. Just really fun combat, excellent world building, fun driving, and the graphics are just like mind-blowing. They just blow you away. So this is a fun time playing through this, and the game just looks and runs awesome. Alright, we have Mafia the Definitive Edition up next, the remake of the first Mafia. I was really happy that they did this because I never got to experience the original Mafia and the story here and everything like that. So I just had a good time playing this, and I love this physical version of the game with the slipcover, and it comes with this nice map and stuff like that. I think down the road I'll probably do a reminiscing video on this in the future because I never got the chance to do that. But yeah, I just love what they did with at least bringing that story back in modern times with visuals like these. They did a great job. All right, we have Metro Exodus up next, the original release for Metro Exodus, and man, this game is just an excellent conclusion to the Metro franchise, and I just had a lot of fun playing this. I want to play through it again, but when I build a new computer, play through the ultimate ray tracing version and stuff like that. That'd be really cool. But I just really enjoyed this game. This was a lot of fun back in the day. Okay, we have Middle-earth Shadow of War here. Just really sad to see how Monolith Studios has just basically been closed down. They just made excellent games, and this was an excellent game from them, and just really built upon the principles of Shadow of Mordor. It's kind of sad to see, you know, how the studio kind of ended, and you know, this game with its narrative and sort of the ending of this game with the huge grindiness mess that they kind of induced, I was not a fan of, but I did have overall a good time with this game. Okay, we have Mortal Kombat 11 up next. I enjoyed this a lot more than Mortal Kombat 10, at least narratively and stuff, and I did play Mortal Kombat 1 a few years back and enjoyed that as well. So, you know, NetherRealm Studios always makes a good fighter for, you know, just the story campaign and stuff like that. Those are always fun to play through, so I had a good time. All right, we have my Need for Speed games up next. We have Need for Speed Payback as well as Need for Speed Heat. Now, I enjoyed Payback, but both of these games have major issues when it comes to like rubber banding and difficulty spikes and stuff like that, and I'm just not really a fan of where the Need for Speed franchise has headed since. You know, Unbound was a step in the right direction, but, you know, it's kind of rumored at this point that the Need for Speed franchise is shelved, so we might not see one for a very, very long time, which is sad. But, yeah, I mean, these games, Payback was fun when I think back on it, but I didn't really enjoy Heat that much. All right, we have The Outer Worlds up next. I'm really looking forward to the sequel coming out later this year, and I had a good time playing this game, and, you know, I just really like kind of the smaller size, you know, scale of what this game offers. You know, it's a good amount of content that isn't going to last you a lifetime, and it's just fun writing, so I had a nice time playing this one. Okay, we have A Plague Tale Innocence up next. Man, I was a huge fan of this game back then, and not a lot of people played it. This was kind of another one of those sleeper hits that kind of fell under the radar for a lot of people, and then when the sequel came out, it got a lot of attention, thankfully, and then a lot of people went back to play this game when it was re-released on like PS5 and Series X. But yeah, this is just a fantastic game in my opinion, and I just had a great time playing it. All right, we have Quantum Break up next. This is probably my least favorite Remedy game. It's still a really good, solid game, but yeah, I just think the gameplay of this game is a bit hit or miss. I actually be interested to go back and play it through a second time because I only played it first around launch. So maybe, you know, I'll get the PC version and then do a reminiscing video on it in the future. All right, we have Rage 2 up next. Man, this was a disappointing sequel for me. I did not care for the direction that they took this in. The campaign could be completed in about 6 hours, and they just filled the rest of the map with just this, you know, boring, monotonous content, in my opinion. I just didn't really care for it. So this one was just a big disappointment for me. All right, here's another game I think a lot of people don't remember, Recore, which is was a console exclusive. I believe it's been released on PC since. This is kind of an interesting platformer with some, you know, story elements and kind of Metroidvania-ish in like a 3D space. I had a fun time playing through this, although the ending gets very grindy and you have to do this boring, you know, these boring missions and things like that. So it'd be interesting to go back and play this and see what it's like all these years later. Okay, Red Dead Redemption 2, probably the most technically impressive game of the generation for me. I mean, this game was just mind-blowing, and especially playing through it on Xbox One X. It runs in native 4K and it just looks phenomenal. Man, this was such an incredible looking game for the time, and I had a great time playing it. I really enjoyed this one a lot more than the original Red Dead Redemption. All right, next up is my Resident Evil games. I have Revelations 2 as well as Resident Evil 2, the remake. I think I did a playthrough of Revelations 2, or at least streamed it back in the day when I got the game. I think I did that for you guys. You know, these games are really fun in their own right. Resident Evil 2, the remake, is just one of the best remakes of all time, in my opinion. It's just a phenomenally well put together game and just a lot of fun to play through. So yeah, I really enjoyed these games and in all their glory and stuff. And yeah, just really like the direction that Capcom has taken the franchise today. All right, you have another launch title up next. This is the Day 1 2013 variant of Rise, Son of Rome. I really enjoyed this game. This game got shat on when it came out, and not a lot of people were really kind of happy with it, but I actually really enjoyed the game. I thought narratively it was fun. Yes, it was short, but you know, it was just a fun action, you know, hack and slash game where there's not really much more I can say about it. And it looked incredible. It's still to this day, it looks amazing. So I liked it. All right, next up we have the collector's edition of Ori and the Will of the Wisp, one of the most intense Metroidvania platformers I played. And this is a really cool edition of the game that kind of comes with a steel book and art book and all this stuff. I'll show you briefly here. You open this up, you got a nice steel book here, and then this is basically an art book with all this like posters and different, you know, collectible items and stuff like that. So this is just an excellent, well put together game by Moon Studios, and just looks and just plays amazingly. All right, winding down from the last few Xbox One games here, I have my Tomb Raider games, Rise of the Tomb Raider as well as Shadow of the Tomb Raider. Rise of the Tomb Raider is my favorite in the reboot trilogy. It's just a phenomenally well put together game with a fun storyline, great graphics, and all that stuff. I was not so impressed with Shadow of the Tomb Raider. This ultimately was a disappointing game for me. You know, I like the gameplay advancements and stuff that they brought, but, you know, just like the storytelling in the world just didn't seem as interesting. You know, just it looked amazing. That's about all the good I can say about it, but I was just not impressed with how they narratively ended it. But these games are still fun in their own right. All right, next up we have Vampire. I really just enjoy these AA smaller games from Don't Nod. They always come out with these like once a generation or once every few years or so, and they're just really well polished and just really well put together, and a nice break from sort of the narrative adventure games that Don't Nod creates in between. So I really enjoyed these, and Vampire is just a great game if you like kind of the Souls-like type gameplay with just a really great story on top of it. All right, next up we have A Way Out from Hazelight. This is a fun co-op action game that really kind of put Hazelight on the map, although I was familiar from them from playing the Brothers, A Tale of Two Sons game on Xbox 360. So I have not played It Takes Two either, or I have not played Split Fiction at all. That's released earlier this year, but I do plan to actually do that down the road. But this was a fun time, and I just had a good time playing this. All right, next up we have We Happy Few. This was a bit of a disappointment for me. This game just didn't really connect with me, but I love the world and I love the concept of what they're doing narratively here. It's just like the gameplay, the actual game itself didn't really connect with me, and I just didn't care for it. So it's a bit of a hardcore survival game, but I just love everything else about it. I love the art direction and the story that they were telling and all that stuff. I just couldn't get through the gameplay. It was just full stop. It just had me bored out of my mind. All right, we have the Wolfenstein games up next. We have Wolfenstein 2, The New Colossus, as well as Wolfenstein Youngblood. I did not care for Wolfenstein 2 when I played it initially, although I think it'd be worth it to go back and do a second playthrough. Wolfenstein Youngblood, I infamously made a video on saying that this game was better than Wolfenstein 2, but what I was talking about was the gameplay of Wolfenstein Youngblood being better than Wolfenstein 2, and that's because it's made by Arcane Studios, so the level design of this game just trumps this in spades. Anyway, I had a good time playing through, I guess, Youngblood by myself. Wolfenstein 2 just, it was fine in moments, but again, that's why I'd be interested to go back and play through both of these games again to see if it elicits a different result. So maybe I'll do a reminiscing video on that in the future. All right, we have Soul Calibur 6 up next. This to me was kind of like Dead or Alive 6, where it kind of felt like a phoned-in game. You know, it's okay. You know, I'm not a big Soul Calibur fan, and it's kind of fun to play as Geralt for like 5 minutes. And then that's basically it. So I didn't really care for this. I played through the career mode or just the basic campaign, and that's all I did. You know, I just kind of moved on after that. All right, we got my Star Wars games up next. We have Star Wars Battlefront 2 as well as Jedi Fallen Order. What's interesting is that Battlefront 2 has seen a bit of a resurgence. A lot of people are going back to the multiplayer of this game. I just felt the campaign of this was really shitty, really lackluster. Some of the most hilariously awful writing I've ever seen in a Star Wars story, let alone any story, actually. Jedi Fallen Order, on the other hand, is just a phenomenally well put together game and is just exactly everything you'd want from a modern Star Wars game. So I just had a good time playing through this one, but Battlefront 2 just didn't have the same staying power as me. But, you know, people are going back to play the multiplayer of it, so perhaps we'll see a Battlefront 3 sooner rather than later. All right, here's another game people probably forgot about. This is Sunset Overdrive from Insomniac, a first-year title for the Xbox One. I just love the art of this game, and this was actually a really fun game, a surprisingly fun game for me when it came out. I think it marked sort of the rebirth, I should say, of Insomniac, or them getting back on track to the stuff that they do really, really well after the Resistance franchise. But for me, I really had a good time playing through this, and it'd be worth it to do a second playthrough and do a reminiscing video on the future. So now that it's actually on PC, it's a lot more accessible to many other players. But yeah, this is a fun game back in the day. All right, we have the Surge 2 up next. I really enjoyed the first Surge game, so you know, this sequel is okay. I didn't really find it as good as the first one, but yeah, it's fun for like a single playthrough, I guess, which is all I did. This is this special limited launch version of the game, which kind of comes with some posters and the game itself. So that's about it. But yeah, this was fine for me. It was okay. I enjoyed the first game a lot more, though. All right, we have Titanfall up next. Man, this game was hyped a ton when it came out, and I actually had a good time playing it around launch. I played it for like 3 months hardcore, and just really, really enjoyed it. So it's kind of sad to see the Titanfall franchise is just kind of down and out now, because Titanfall 2's narrative was just fantastic and just a lot of fun. So I'll talk about that in a moment briefly, but yeah, I really enjoyed the first Titanfall here. Even though it was just a multiplayer shooter, I had a good time playing it. All right, and my final two games here are my Tom Clancy games. We have The Division 2 as well as Ghost Recon Breakpoint. Now, I famously did not like Ghost Recon Breakpoint. Admittedly, I played it at launch, which had all these issues with frame rate, and I played it on PC where it just didn't run at all. It was just having massive stutters everywhere. The Division 2, however, I have to say, as far as like an MMO looter shooter goes, you guys know I really do not care for this genre, but this game is incredible. The way that this game plays is just fantastic, and that's what kept me going back to this game and just really having a good time playing through the story campaign and stuff like that, is because the gameplay of this was just so much fun. So I still stand, like, The Division 2 is like the only looter shooter of this generation that I really enjoyed, and I just had a good time. Breakpoint, not so much though. I much preferred Wildlands to this. Alright everyone, now we're moving on to the PlayStation 4 games. This is my largest console collection library from this generation, I should say. So let's get to it. All right, we have Grand Theft Auto 5 here. I mean, to me, this is the real release of Grand Theft Auto 5. Despite me playing it on Xbox 360, everything that this game was doing at the time just felt right at home on the 8th generation of consoles. And yeah, just an incredibly, technically impressive game for the time. And yeah, I just had a fun time playing through it multiple times. Although at this point, it's been sort of a sour taste in all of our mouths because we've had it so long. All right, we have my Gravity Rush games up next. We have Gravity Rush Remastered, which is a bit of a rare game on PlayStation 4, and then Gravity Rush 2. Now, I say this is rare because Amazon exclusively sold this at stores. In fact, when I pre-ordered it, I didn't even know that was even the case. I just got it, and then I found out many years later, like, oh yeah, this is actually a rare version of the game. Then we have Gravity Rush 2. These games are just awesome. If you love these types of games, which are just sort of, very cool action-oriented games with interesting worlds and stuff, I had a lot of fun playing through these and just, really enjoy this type of style game and miss this era of Sony when they are making these types of games. All right, we have Hitman Season 1 up next, the game that kickstarted off the reboot of the Hitman franchise, and just a really fun game. I lost so many hours playing this. I think I did a live stream playthrough of 1 or 2 of the missions at the time back in the day. So yeah, this is just awesome to play, and I had a good time with this. All right, we have Horizon Zero Dawn here. I liked the Horizon games, but I never really fell in love with the games. The combat for me was always a bit of a hit or miss, so it's not really too much I can say on it there. So I always thought these games were beautiful and just fun for the world, but the gameplay and stuff just didn't really hold me over, but I still enjoyed the game for what it was. Okay, we have Infamous Second Son up next, the limited edition, which was just basically the launch version of the game, but you get this nice reflective, cellophane on the front. So that's really cool. This is kind of like, in my opinion, the weakest of the Infamous games out there. Delsin's okay as a character. I really enjoyed Seattle as like a location. I thought it was a great world, but not really, a fan of like the gameplay elements of this game, although it was really beautiful at the time. Okay, we have Injustice 2 up next. Always enjoyed the Injustice games, and like I said, NetherRealm games from the storyline perspectives are just a lot of fun, and just really enjoyed this game. I'm kind of surprised that we never got an Injustice 3. Perhaps we'll get that sometime sooner rather than later, because it seems like we're way past due for that. I enjoyed the storyline for these games. It was fun. All right, we have Judgment up next, or Judge Eyes as it's known in Japan. I much prefer that Japanese title, but this was just an incredible game. Man, I love the story for this game. In fact, to me, this is like right up there with like Yakuza 0 in terms of like storytelling excellence. It's just phenomenal, and just love the characters in this one, and just a different perspective of the Yakuza world from for this game. So I'm really happy with this, and I enjoyed the sequel, but this game in particular was a lot of fun. Okay, we got my Far Cry games on PlayStation 4. We have Far Cry 4 as well as Far Cry Primal. I thought Far Cry 4 was an okay game. To me, this felt like just another copy and paste from Far Cry 3, so can't really say too much about that, but I would like to go back and play through it again to see if it yields a different result. Never really got into Primal personally. A lot of people loved this game back when it came out, and I just never really cared for it. I didn't like the setting and what they were kind of going for. I wish they went with a more fantasy-oriented route where it was dinosaurs instead of just prehistoric times, but they're fun, and they're decent games in their own right, but I'd like to go back and play them and do reminiscing videos on them. All right, we got my Final Fantasy games up next. We have Final Fantasy 15 as well as Final Fantasy 7, the remake, or part 1 of really the remake. I had a good time playing through both of these. Final Fantasy 15, I did ultimately enjoy. The gameplay was decent enough, but I enjoyed the exploration, the world, and the graphics and all that stuff. Final Fantasy 7 Remake was just phenomenal. I fell in love with the combat of this game and everything in between. I just really enjoyed the remake personally, but both of these games are really fun in their own right, and just remember playing through Final Fantasy 15, doing an unboxing for you guys and all that content back in the day. Okay, we have For Honor up next, which is a okay fighting game. This game has just gotten a lot of content. It's kind of remarkable to me that they have kept this game going on as long as it has. I guess it has a subset of really hardcore players and stuff, but yeah, this game just didn't really connect with me. It's okay. It was really beautiful at the time, but that's about all I can say about it. All right, we have Ghost of Tsushima here. Just an excellent game from Sucker Punch. A great start to a new franchise. I'm definitely looking forward to Ghost of Yotai coming out later this year. And this game was just so beautiful, and just such a joy to go back to time and time again. So a lot of fun playing through this. This is just an excellent game. All right, we have the God of War reboot here. This is still my personal favorite game of the generation, or last generation, I should say, and just had so much fun playing this, and just what a shocker it was. I was never really a big God of War fan from the original games, despite everyone loving them, but this game just took me by surprise, and I just fell in love with it, and the combat and the storytelling was just perfect. I just love this game. All right, we have Gran Turismo Sport, which is a bit interesting because at the time this game got a lot of hate for it being an always online game, excuse me. But they actually, I mean, Polyphony Digital did the right thing. They actually patched this game, even though they took off the servers. They patched this game, and it can now be played offline. And to me, this was like a resurgence. It really, in reality, is Gran Turismo 7 Prologue. But this game really just put the Gran Turismo back on the right track for me. It was just a lot of fun. All right, you have Dragon Age Inquisition up next. This is my first Dragon Age game. I never really played the franchise prior to this. And, you know, despite this game being a bit of a letdown for a lot of people, I actually had a good time playing it. Although it's a bit funny because now that, you know, we have the Veilguard release to just, you know, critical panning and stuff like that, a lot of people look back at Inquisition a lot more favorably. So I had a good time playing this, despite at the time being a bit controversial. All right, we have Dreams up next. This game took me by complete surprise. To this date, I think this is Media Molecule's most, you know, just impressive game, and really the game that, to me, finally showed me what they were really kind of going after, and I think accomplished their goals in just spades. What people are able to create with this game is just nothing short of amazing, and this is just a game you can go back to time and time again and just be consistently impressed by what people create, although it's really sad that Sony has kind of let it die for many years. It should have got a PC port and PS5, in my opinion. All right, one of my favorite driving games of the last generation, Drive Club. Again, a game that never really got a lot of attention, but this game is still one of the most fun games, driving games at least, from the last generation, in my opinion, and I just had a lot of fun playing this. Still to this day, one of the best visuals for a game of its generation, and yeah, I just think it's a lot of fun, and really sad that Evolution Studios is no longer with us, but I really like this game. I thought they did a good job. All right, we have Dying Light up next. I mean, man, what an impressive game from the guys who did Dead Island, and you guys all know I really did not like Dead Island, so playing this was just a huge impressive, you know, entry, you know, coming off of Dead Island, which I just didn't care for at all. So I just had a lot of fun playing this, and liked it a lot more than the sequel as well. All right, we have the Elder Scrolls V Skyrim Remastered, or Special Edition as it's called. You know, I played Skyrim originally on the Xbox 360, and then going back to play this, but this time at 4K on the PS4 Pro, was just awesome. You know, the Skyrim franchise, like Grand Theft Auto 5, has just been milked to death, but I personally really still love this game and think it's fantastic, and had a good time playing through this a second time in 4K. All right, we have my Evil Within games up next. We have the original Evil Within as well as its sequel, the Evil Within 2. Now, the Evil Within 2, in my opinion, is one of the best games of the last generation, and a big sleeper hit because a lot of people didn't really give it the attention that it deserved. But this game's story and just the gameplay just really created something special. The narrative in particular was really emotional and really surprised me. I really enjoyed this Evil Within 2. I thought the first game was okay, though. You know, it was a good foundation, and then they did exactly what they needed to do in the sequel and just built upon it. I also like this exclusive slipcover that was with the launch version of the game. You get like this 3D, you know, depth look to it. So that's pretty cool. But yeah, the Evil Within 2, I always tell people definitely give this game a shot if you haven't already. It's a great game. Oh man, who remembers Evolve? This game died basically as soon as it came out. Man, I think I played this game for like 2 hours, and then it glitched on me and it didn't save my progress, and I just was like, all right, screw it, I'm not going to play this. It's absolutely terrible. Yeah, really unfortunate coming from Turtle Rock Studios. Now these days they have revived themselves with Back 4 Blood, which is a good game, but Evolve was just not really a great game in my opinion, and it died a lot quicker than a lot of people were expecting. You know, I got this nice slipcover though, and you can actually feel the imprint there. It's actually texturized, so that's nice. That's all I can say about it. All right, and Fallout 4, here we go. Not as good to me as Fallout 3, but a huge, massive just upgrade in terms of gameplay and just you know, just the overall like conversations and dialogue and stuff like that, the content, all that, all the systems that were put together, they really kind of streamlined everything. And although it's an easier game, and I didn't care for it tonally versus Fallout 3, you know, I still really enjoyed my time with this, and the gameplay is just where it's at. It's just a lot of fun. So really fun time playing through Fallout 4. All right, we have Mortal Kombat 10 or Mortal Kombat X. I did not care for this game after really falling in love with the Mortal Kombat 9 or the Mortal Kombat reboot that a lot of people like to call it. I did not care narratively for this game, although it was pretty at the time and very beautiful. That's about all I can say for it. I don't really remember it much. Okay, here's a game that a lot of people probably forgot about. This is Murdered Soul Suspect, where you basically have to solve your own death, the crime of your own murder. So I really thought this game was interesting. I played it through twice, and yeah, it's kind of just been forgotten about, you know, kind of just left to die. But it was an interesting new franchise, or what could have been a new franchise. And I enjoyed this initial game. I thought it was pretty fun. All right, we got my Need for Speed games up next. We have Need for Speed Rivals, as well as the Need for Speed 2015 reboot. Now, this was an always online game that I enjoyed playing, but just like there was no reason for it to be always online, and it's a bit unfortunate because this game will die off eventually, although I think you can still play it today. One of the best looking games of the entire generation, though. This game's graphics just blow me away constantly, even seeing it today. I did not care for Rivals, even though it was a launch title. This game is getting its servers shut down later this year, I believe, but I didn't really play this game much. I didn't think it was that great, so that's about all I can say there. All right, one of the best games of the generation, Nier Automata. I love this game. Incredible combat, incredible music, just really fun storytelling, and just, I mean, everything. Just the game was just fantastic. It blew me away. So yeah, I just love this game to death. I had a lot of fun playing it. Okay, we have my Neo games up next. We have the original Neo as well as Neo 2. Now, I really had a good time with the original Neo. It was one of the hardest Souls-like games I ever played, but the way this game played and the controls and just the responsiveness of everything was fantastic. I had a good time playing through the original Neo. Now, I know a lot of people really love Neo 2. I just don't care for it. I don't care for it as much as the original game here. I much prefer this first game, but you know, these games are fine in their own right. We are getting a third Neo game next year, so I guess we'll see how that is, and I'm not even sure if I'm going to be playing it at this point. All right, we have Outlast Trinity up next, which is just a physical version that includes the original Outlast, its DLC, as well as Outlast 2, which is why I bought it. I love the Outlast games, really the games that kickstarted this new genre of horror games, and you can see the other disc is on the other side there, so that's really cool. Just nice to have these games immortalized on disc, and just love playing through these games, you know, to death, and they're just a lot of fun. All right, we have the Order 1886 up next. Although this is a sealed copy, I got rid of my original collector's edition steelbook or whatever it was many years ago, and when I was buying the game again to have for my collection, I just got a sealed copy because it was so cheap. I really feel that this game deserved a sequel, and it's a bit unfortunate that we never got one, but I really enjoyed this game, even though it was, you know, narratively a bit compromised and very short. I still had a good time with this and thought it was a lot of fun, and wish that we got a sequel, so that's all I can say on that. All right, we have No Man's Sky up next, this original copy. I love the artwork for this game, but the gameplay itself, I just really couldn't get into. I played it after one of the updates. I forgot what update it was called, but it was like, you know, many years ago, and I know the game has changed dramatically since then. It's just incredible to see that they've consistently built upon this game and to see where it is today. But I don't know, I keep this physical copy around because I really do like the artwork. I like the way it looks, and but you know, the gameplay just didn't really connect with me personally. All right, we got my Last of Us games up next. We have The Last of Us Remastered as well as Last of Us 2. I'm not going to talk too much on The Last of Us 2 because I do eventually want to do a reminiscing video on it. Plus I have the remaster on PS5. And then I played through The Last of Us at this point like 3 times, I believe, and I haven't even played the remake of it, Part 1, despite me actually owning it. Yeah, you know, I like The Last of Us. I still prefer Uncharted over it. That's about as much as I can say, but, you know, these games are just really excellent in their own right, and just really well-made games, so that's about all I can say on them. Okay, we have Lords of the Fallen up next. This was an interesting game because, you know, they rebooted it with a new game this generation. This game was really beautiful at the time, but control-wise, it was very heavy and sluggish, and then the polish was just all over the place. So I played through it and I beat it, but I don't really remember it that much, which is probably all I need to say on it. All right, Mafia 3 up next. Despite the glitchy nature of this game at launch, I really enjoyed this game. And the mission structure could have been, you know, was a bit annoying and stuff like that, but overall the narrative and stuff I really had a good time playing it, and I cannot wait for the Old Country. I'm happy that they're going back to like the grassroots of the franchise, but this was a good conceptual game. It just needed a lot more polish and a lot more focus when it came to the gameplay department. All right, Mass Effect Andromeda. Despite the issues with, again, the polish of this game, I did actually enjoy this game for the combat. The story was kind of all over the place. I didn't really care for it much, but I did overall enjoy some of the characters and relationships and stuff like that with this game. So yeah, it was fun for what it was. I enjoyed it, but hopefully, Mass Effect 4, when that comes out, it'll be a lot better. All right, we have the Metal Gear Solid 5 games up next, Ground Zeroes, as well as the Phantom Pain. Ground Zeroes, a lot of people gave a lot of shit for because it was basically a glorified demo. Ultimately, I had so much fun playing through this game, though. I think I spent 20 hours in this game alone just doing S ranks on everything. And then the Phantom Pain, to me, is still like the pinnacle of stealth action games. It's a great game. And I think it still holds my record for the single longest playthrough of any game I've ever played at once, which is 125 hours for doing everything, every setups and everything like that. So I just had a good time playing through this. It was a lot of fun. All right, we have Metro Redux up next, which is just a remaster for 2033 as well as Last Light. In fact, for 2033, it was interesting because that was an Xbox 360 and PC exclusive. So this would have been the first time it would have come to PlayStation. Love the Metro games. 2033, I didn't really care for originally, but the remaster just fixed all the gameplay elements because it brought over the improvements from Last Light into its game. So anyway, I had a good time playing through these, and I just like going back to them time and time again. Middle Earth Shadow of Mordor up next. I talked a little bit about Shadow of War previously, but this was just a lot of fun at the time, and just the systems that Monolith put in place were just excellent. I love the storytelling of this game as well, and just had a lot of fun playing through this. So again, just sad to see Monolith Studios is no longer with us, because I think they were such a talented bunch, and it's just sad. All right, Mirror's Edge Catalyst up next. I mean, there's not really much more I can say about this at this point. For me, it's a fun game to still go back to time and time again. It's definitely not the game that I think we all wish it was, and what it really could have been. And at this point, we're just holding out for hope that we get a third Mirror's Edge game, whatever that will be. And I guess we'll have to wait and see. But just a game that I can go back to time and time again. That just makes me happy. If I'm just feeling down, this is a game that just makes me happy. That's all I can say. Just Cause 3, to me, a bit of a disappointment actually, because I really loved the first Just Cause, and I really enjoyed the second Just Cause even more. Just Cause 3 to me, I just couldn't get into it. I don't know what it was. I really liked the world that it took place in, but there's something just about this game that I just didn't care for it as much as the last two, and for me it just kind of ended the franchise. So yeah, I can't really say too much about it other than that. A launch title for PS4, Killzone Shadowfall, and honestly, I still think that this is a solid, well put together game. A lot of people do not care for this game. Listen, narratively, yeah, it isn't as strong or as nicely focused as the other Killzone games, but I did enjoy the gameplay elements of them the most. I do still feel that there's room for another Killzone game. What I would like to see them do is a prequel game to the original Killzone, showing like Vizari's rise to power and stuff like that. I think that'd be really cool, but I still really enjoyed this game. I went back and I played the multiplayer for a little bit, which I didn't really care for back when it came out, but it was just fun to go back to this game and see what the visuals were like at launch for the PS4. And another PS4 launch title, we have Knack. I just couldn't get into this game personally. Sorry, Mark Cerny, but I just didn't care for this. I can't really say too much about it there. I didn't like the gameplay as much. It was a harken back to an earlier time period, yes, but I just found that the game just wasn't that enticing, although it looked amazing and they did a great job telling, this animated storyline there, but I just couldn't get into the game. The Last Guardian, man, I never thought this game would see the light of day, and I remember being at the Sony E3 conference when they announced this, and it was just like a huge shocker. Like, never would I have imagined that this game would have actually come out, and we were all just completely shocked. So I liked The Last Guardian despite some issues with control and stuff like that, and I just had a good time playing it, and just really happy that they were able to get this one out the door. All right, I hope you're hanging in there, guys, because we're about halfway through, I believe. We have Ghost Recon Wildlands, Tom Clancy's Rainbow Six Siege, and The Division, my Tom Clancy games. I enjoyed my time with Wildlands. I thought it was a really fun game. I liked the world and stuff like that. Siege, I just couldn't really get into, although it's still amazing to see that this game has gone on. you know, to current times, and people are still playing it heavily. And the Division was fine for like a first playthrough, but as I talked about before, the Division 2 was really where it was at for me. So these games were okay in their own rights, but I had a lot of fun with Wildlands. All right, Tony Hawk Pro Skater 1 and 2, the remake. I'm really happy that we got a 3 and 4 remake and plan to get that, you know, soon. This game was just a lot of fun to go through, and just thought they did a fantastic job with this remake, and just loved playing these games again that I haven't played since my childhood, so just awesome. We have Trials Fusion up next. I got this game on a recommendation actually, because I never played the Trials games before, and I just had such a fun time playing this. This was such a great game. I miss these types of games from Ubisoft. I wish we would get another one, and it's just kind of sad to see the state that Ubisoft is in today, so who knows, maybe they will bring themselves back from the gutter. We have Star Wars Battlefront up next. I talked a bit about Battlefront 2 as well as Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order before. I really enjoyed the multiplayer for the original, or for the reboot of Battlefront, I should say here. Despite it not having a campaign, which was disappointing, I just really liked the gameplay loop and the organization of this, and just had a great time playing it. So again, here's hoping we'll get a Battlefront 3 eventually. All right, Street Fighter V up next. Man, I think this was the straw that broke the camel's back for Capcom, because this to me was like the final disappointing outing from Capcom before they rebooted themselves with like the Resident Evil games and going back to like their core franchise and stuff. This was a disappointing entry to me. It didn't even launch with a career mode, and it just had barely any content, and then just the game just to me just felt like an incremental upgrade from Street Fighter 4, and even a downgrade in some instances. So just really happy to see what Capcom has done with the franchise and then themselves moving forward after this game. All right, got my Sherlock Holmes games up next. We have Crimes and Punishments as well as The Devil's Daughter. If you have not played Crimes and Punishments, you are missing out on one of the best detective games of like the generation. And in fact, one of the best detective games ever. I'll even go that far. This game is phenomenal. And I think I was talking a lot about that back when this game came out, that it was just fantastic. Now, The Devil's Daughter is a follow-up to Crimes and Punishments, but man, it is just every bit as disappointing as like I don't even know what to say. This game was so bad, it just left such a sour taste in my mouth. To be completely honest with you guys, I never even finished it. I dropped it. It was so awful. But Crimes and Punishments, I implore everyone who has not played this yet, play this game. It is fantastic, and just an excellent, well put together game, and just a great detective game at that. Just really a lot of fun. The Sims 4 up next. I really enjoyed the Sims game, and honestly, it's a bit sad that this is like the last Sims game that we got. They keep updating this, but I really want to see them do The Sims 5. I believe Maxis Studios said that EA told them if Sims 4 wasn't a success that we would never get a Sims 5. Well, I have to imagine it is a success, and I think we definitely do need a Sims 5 desperately. It'd be cool to see what they can do with this generation of hardware. All right, we have the Spyro Reignited trilogy. Spyro was basically my favorite platformer on the original PlayStation when I was a kid. I always just loved those games, and so going back to this, it was just such a treat, and especially to see that this game got the same visual treatment as like the Crash Bandicoot Insane trilogy. It was just awesome. So I loved going back to playing these games, and it was just a great time all around. All right, Project Cars up next. This game was a bit of a disappointment for me. I don't know what I was expecting, because I know this game was in development for a very long time, but I just didn't really care for all the systems in place. To me, this game felt like it was too confusing to play, and there was like just too much things to do without a real lack of focus and stuff like that. So I don't know, I guess I didn't really enjoy it personally when I played it, but that's all I can say really. All right, we have Tomb Raider, the Definitive Edition up next, which is basically the upgraded version with 8th gen visuals from the Tomb Raider 2013 reboot. Remember when this came out, it was very controversial at the time, but you know, I always love what they did with this Tomb Raider game, and you know, seeing that this game being brought with increased visuals that even surpassed the PC version, because this game never got a PC release, was quite interesting. At least this version never got a PC release, that's what I should say. All right, the Prey reboot. Although this wasn't the Prey 2 that I wanted and that we were hoping to get from Human Head, I do think this was a good, different game, and I'm still kind of surprised that Arcane never got the chance to like make another one of these. In fact, I guess we'll never even see it now that they closed down that studio. It's very sad, but this was just a well put together game, and I think that it could really do well with a sequel made today. All right, Sniper Ghost Warrior 3, a huge, massive, just upgrade over the previous Sniper Ghost Warrior games, which I played Ghost Warrior 2 only. But this game was huge, open world fair, and you got, actual exploration and ways that you can actually approach your missions. I had a lot of fun playing through this, and yeah, I thought it was just a well put together game. Speaking of Sniper, we have my Sniper Elite games, Sniper Elite 3 and Sniper Elite 4. I personally really enjoy Sniper Elite 3. I just love the African location and thought that was awesome. Sniper Elite 4 was really good as well, but Sniper Elite 5 to me was like the true upgrade for the series. So yeah, these games are always fun for like a single playthrough, and I just enjoyed my time with them. All right, we have the First Surge up next. I talked about my thoughts on the sequel, but this original game I really fell in love with and thought it was just awesome. A really different Souls-like game, more science fiction than fantasy, and I just thought they did a good job with it. I love the inclusion with the combat. You can tear off limbs and all that stuff. I just thought it was a lot of fun, so good time. All right, Tekken 7, an incredible entry for the Tekken franchise with just, a lot of content, a lot of cool things. I've not played Tekken 8 yet, but I do actually own it, so I'll get to that eventually, but I just had a lot of fun playing through Tekken 7. I thought it was a great fighter. All right, the Thief reboot. This game is a bit of a guilty pleasure to mine because although it has some creative issues, I still really enjoyed the gameplay for this game, and I wish that we would get another Thief game. Although at this point it's kind of sad to see. In fact, I think we are getting another Thief game, but it's a VR game, so it's a bit disappointing, but I really enjoyed this despite the issues it had. All right, Titanfall 2 up next. Already talked about my thoughts on the first Titanfall. I never really got into the multiplayer for Titanfall 2, but the campaign is just one of the best shooter campaigns that I've played for like a very long time, since like the original Call of Duty days. Just an incredible entry in the story department, but yeah, the multiplayer to me was just kind of like a letdown. It was just more of the same, honestly. All right, we got my Spider-Man games up next. We have the Amazing Spider-Man 2, which is actually a really rare valuable now for PS4, and then Spider-Man, Marvel Spider-Man from Insomniac. This game is awful. It's just a really bad game. In fact, I really enjoyed the first Amazing Spider-Man movie tie-in game on PS3 and 360, but this sequel is just really disappointing, although this game is really expensive now because you can't get this game anywhere else but a disc. They took it off of digital storefronts. Insomniac's Spider-Man game is just the best superhero game, best Spider-Man superhero game since Spider-Man 2 movie tie-in game back on the original Xbox and PS2, and just had a lot of fun playing through this. I have not played Spider-Man 2 yet, but I do own that and do plan to go and play it eventually. All right, we have Death Stranding up next. I talked about this a lot, but I played this game during the pandemic, and just the themes of the storyline and everything that it had just really connected with me personally. I just had a good time playing through this. This is this nice exclusive Amazon UK slipcover, which I had imported, and I just have like this nice steelbook collector's edition under it. So just one of my favorite physical versions for the games of this era, and just had a lot of fun playing this. I just love the story. All right, we have Destiny up next, my Destiny games. We have the first one and the second one. I had a decent amount of time playing the multiplayer and some of the raids and stuff in the original Destiny, although to me it was just okay. Destiny 2 was like meh. I played the storyline and it was fun as a single playthrough, but I didn't really play the multiplayer or anything after that since. It's kind of remarkable for me to see how long Destiny 2 has lasted, although, from what I hear, a lot of people who have played it just are not really happy with the direction that Bungie has taken it in. So, I don't know, perhaps we'll see. I know they're working on Marathon. Who knows when we'll see that, and it's really sad to see we're not getting a campaign with that either, but who knows? Maybe they'll change their mind. All right, we have Detroit Become Human up next. Probably Quantic Dream's best game. I just really enjoyed this one, and all the choices and just the narrative and stuff. It was just really well put together. So this was a great time. All right, Deus Ex Mankind Divided, the highly anticipated sequel to Human Revolution, one of my favorite games of the last generation, was just phenomenal. Mankind Divided is a good sequel. It's not as great as Human Revolution to me, and it's really sad to see that we have not gotten a sequel to this. In fact, they tried to get it up and going many times, but it just keeps getting either canceled or just defunded or whatever. But it's just really sad. I hope that we'll get a chance to see the conclusion to this story that they were telling here with Mankind Divided, because it just ends on a cliffhanger. So sad. All right, we have Dishonored 2 up next. A great sequel for the first Dishonored with interesting new powers and different character choices and stuff like that. Just really enjoyed this game and this world, and especially Karnaka being the new world and stuff like that was just a great choice. So I had a good time playing through Dishonored 2. It's a lot of fun. Okay, we have the Doom games up next. We have the Doom 2016 reboot as well as Doom Eternal. Both these games are just awesome. I think overall I prefer the more close-focused element of Doom 2016 versus Eternal, although Eternal just has such an incredible pace to its gameplay, like the speed of which that you're fighting everything, you know, in the arenas is just insane. But yeah, I had a lot of fun playing through both of these. It's just awesome to see the Doom franchise back in like full, you know, speed and popularity. It's just awesome. All right, here's a game that you cannot get anymore or play anymore. This is The Crew. Man, this game was really disappointing to me. I actually dropped this game. It was so boring and just disappointing to me personally. So I never actually got to play through it all the way through. And now that Ubisoft has taken it off its storefronts, it's interesting because it's I don't want to say it's rare. I don't even know how much this is going for because it's basically a paperweight at this point. But yeah, it's just one of those things. I didn't really care for the game at all, so that's about all I can say. All right, we have Dark Souls 3 up next. This was my first Dark Souls game. I really got into the franchise because of Bloodborne, but you know, this is my first Dark Souls game, and yeah, I just really enjoyed playing through this one. I like the world, the enemies and stuff, and all that cool fun elements of the game, and just yeah, I had a good time playing it. That's all I can say. Days Gone. Man, this is an awesome game. It took a while to get going, but once this game gets going, it just goes, man. It's just a really fun game. I really enjoyed the story for it as well. I thought the story it keeps building and building and building, and then it has this really exceptional payoff, and there's like a secret ending, which I got as well, which just kind of blows your mind. I still have hopes that we'll get a Days Gone 2, despite Sony saying otherwise, and yeah, I don't know, I just thought it was a good game. Has some polishing issues at launch, but still really fun in its own right. And we have Bloodborne. This game was basically responsible for me falling in love with the Souls-like games. In fact, I famously did a video where I recorded myself going to the store to pick up this game, and I was like taking a chance on it because I was there for like a different game, but everyone was getting this, and I ended up just taking a chance on it because I never played a Souls-like game before. And I was just spending day and night, like literally day and night. I was in college, so I was like up late at night playing this game. I couldn't stop. It was just so awesome. So I have hopes that we might get a remaster or at least a PC port down the road. I think that we would have to, because you know it would just be money printed for Sony. But yeah, just crazy to see what this game has done and the popularity it's held for many years since. Bulletstorm Full Clip Edition. I really enjoyed the Bulletstorm game from 2011, I think it was, all the way back then, and was really happy that it was getting a remaster. But you know, obviously you buy this version because you want to play as Duke Nukem, which is really sad that we still have not gotten a new Duke Nukem game. Although I think I read somewhere that someone else bought the Duke Nukem franchise from Gearbox, or someone got the license for it. I don't know, man. Someone have to correct me if I'm wrong there, but hopefully we'll get that sometime in the future. All right, you got my Call of Duty games here on PlayStation. We have Call of Duty Ghost, the launch title, Infinite Warfare, which includes the Modern Warfare Remaster, as well as Modern Warfare, the reboot. I didn't really care for Ghost as a launch title, you know, it just didn't really do it for me. I think narratively it was all over the place, and multiplayer-wise was just meh, it was just okay. Infinite Warfare had a great campaign. I just remember going, like, this game. I remember this game very fondly, I should say, and I want to go back and play it through again and do a reminiscing video. In fact, I should do a reminiscing video on all these games. But, you know, I bought this version for the Modern Warfare Remaster, which was just so awesome to play through again, and that's really where I spent the bulk of my time playing the multiplayer again. And then I enjoyed the Modern Warfare reboot for the storyline. I just didn't care for the multiplayer as much as I thought I would, but you know, I still enjoyed this game for what it was. I thought it was a good new change of pace for the Call of Duty franchise going forward. Code Vein up next. I'm really shocked that we're getting a sequel, and you know, I just never really expected that we get a sequel to this game. It's an okay game, you know, it's another kind of Souls-like game with just anime-focused characters and storytelling and stuff. But you know, it's fun for what it is. I enjoyed the gameplay loop. It's not particularly hard by any means, but you know, just one of those games I was shocked that we're getting a sequel for. All right, Concrete Genie up next. This is a really fun, kind of smaller game from Sony Studios and stuff like that, and just really fun, interesting art direction, really fun and kind of cute and just sweet storytelling. So this was fun as like a single playthrough, and had a good time playing through it. All right, Crash Bandicoot, the Insane Trilogy. Just loved playing through all these games again, you know, seeing them remastered in these games from my childhood. It was just a lot of fun. And I just had, yeah, just a lot of fun playing through all these 3 games. They looked fantastic, they played fantastic. Not much more I can say. All right, Ace Combat 7, Skies Unknown. This to me was my first Ace Combat game, I believe, or I think I might have played one of the earlier ones a very long time ago. This game just blew me away though. I really enjoyed what they did with just like the storytelling as well as like the cutscenes and just the different missions and stuff like that. This game just looks amazing. It just looks fantastic. I want to go back and play it through again and do a reminiscing video, excuse me, sometime in the future. It'd be a lot of fun. All right, one of my favorite games of all time from the last generation, especially Alien Isolation. I mean, there's really not much more I can say on it. This is a game that I can go back to time and time again. One of probably my favorite horror game of all time, I have to say, and I just love everything that they put together. Guys, they're making a sequel to this finally. They got what's his name? Alistair Hope, I believe it is, the original creative director for this game. They got him back. They got the original team back, or a big chunk of the people from the original team back. We're getting a sequel, and you know, it might take many, many years from now, but it's happening, and I'm so happy, man. I'm just really happy. I love this game to death. Here is a game that's getting shut down, I believe, next year. This is Anthem. This game was such a massive disappointment, and it's so sad because this game could have been awesome had they included a campaign. Like, I'm just imagining this big set piece where there's like these giant like aircraft carrier spaceships like in the sky, and you're like flying from one to the other, just blasting, you know, all these like guns and these people in their suits like Iron Man and shit, and you're landing, and then there's third-person combat. Just imagining a set piece like that in a game like this with visuals, it just could have been so awesome. But you know, BioWare just they had to do the multiplayer thing, and like everyone else who attempts to try these, it just does not work out. So yeah, it's sad, and it's being, I believe, taken offline later this year, but this game just really did not do it for me. All right, we got my Assassin's Creed games up next on PS4. Assassin's Creed 4 Black Flag, a launch title, and Assassin's Creed Syndicate. I believe we're getting a remake of Assassin's Creed 4, at least that's what the rumors are, which is a bit surprising that they would remake Assassin's Creed 4, but this is one of the best, if not the best, Assassin's Creed game, you know, since Assassin's Creed 2, I should say. And then we have Assassin's Creed Syndicate, which is just a really fun game in its own right. You know, I felt like they really improved the gameplay elements of Assassin's Creed Unity, and I really like the world and stuff like that and the characters in this one. But both of these games were a lot of fun. You know, I had a good time playing through them. So we get that remake for Assassin's Creed 4. That will be cool. All right, we have Batman Arkham Knight up next. A great conclusion to the Batman Arkham series, and just a really well put together game. I mean, still to this day, this game has one of the best visuals of the generation, and just a game you can go back to and just be impressed by. And I just love playing through this one. I'm interested to do another video, like a reminiscing video on this, but I did everything. I collected all the Riddler trophies. I got the real ending. I did everything with this game and just had a great time. All right, we got my Battlefield games up next. We have Battlefield 4, a launch title, as well as Battlefield 1. This was a fantastic launch title with just great multiplayer and stuff. I played a lot of hours of Battlefield 4 in particular. I just had a really fun time. The story wasn't really that great. It was a slight improvement on Battlefield 3, which didn't have a great storyline either, but I think I prefer Battlefield 3's multiplayer overall compared to Battlefield 4, although I still really enjoyed this. Battlefield 1 to me was just one of the better Battlefield games. I love what they did with the narrative, focusing on moments and stuff like that, and then the campaign, the multiplayer of this was just phenomenal. Great maps, great set pieces and stuff like that, fast pace, just awesome. This was like the last Battlefield game I really enjoyed. So hopefully Battlefield 6, whenever that comes out, will be a return to form. All right, guys, we're winding down to the last couple of PS4 games here. We're almost done, so hang in there. We have Ratchet & Clank, the remake. Just a great remake of the original title, and seeing what they did with the visuals. I know some people were not happy with the writing changes and stuff like that, but overall, I really had a good time playing this. And I remember, I think this was the first game I ever played on PS4 Pro when I got it, and I was just blown away, especially because I was playing it in HDR, and the HDR presentation of this game was just incredible. It just blew me away. All right, next up we have my Resident Evil games. We have Resident Evil 7, Biohazard, as well as Resident Evil 3, the remake. Man, this game was just really kickstarting and kind of rebooted the Resident Evil franchise, and I really enjoyed it. I thought this game was phenomenal. Now, the Resident Evil 3 remake, a lot of people didn't really care for, but I actually had a good time playing this. I thought it was a lot of fun. I still, even though it was a more, tightly focused and smaller size game compared to Resident Evil 2, I still had a good time playing through it, and I enjoyed my time with it. So, yeah, both of these games I just really enjoyed. Okay, we have Sekiro: Shadows Die Twice. I think the most challenging From Software game, but also one of the most rewarding. Man, it took me like 3 days to finish the last boss on this game when I initially played it, and then I played it through again and I was able to beat him in like 30 minutes. So I had just a lot of fun playing through this. I loved the combat, I loved everything about it, and just thought it was just a lot of fun, just excellent. All right, we have Shadow of the Colossus here, the remake. And yeah, I never played the original Shadow of the Colossus, so as a first-time, player into this game, I really enjoyed it. Loved the world and stuff like that, and just to see what they did with the visuals, I thought it was fantastic, and the graphics at the time were just wonderful. So a lot of fun playing through this. I'm really happy that we got a remake of this, and hope to see like a remake of Ico or Eco down the road. I think it's called Eco, pronounced Eco. So, all right, cool. All right, we have the Shadow Warrior reboot, an excellent game. I actually bought this on a recommendation, and man, I was really surprised by it. It had a lot of fun, just a lot of cool combat, pretty level design, and just 60 FPS and stuff. This was like one of the first year releases for the PS4, and I just personally really enjoyed it. I thought it was awesome. We got 3 more games out of this, which is really cool. So happy to have experienced this. I thought it was a lot of fun. We have Wolfenstein: The New Order up next. One of the best shooters of the entire generation, in my opinion. I just love the way that this game played, the way that this game handled, and just the incredible single-player campaign, the great storytelling and stuff on top of that. I mean, this game just really surprised me. It was everything you'd want from a Wolfenstein reboot and more. So I had a lot of fun playing this. I want to replay it again and do a reminiscing video for you guys on the future. All right, we got my Yakuza games up next, and there is a lot because I literally have just about every single entry in the mainline Kazuma Kiryu games. We have Yakuza 0, which is like my favorite in the franchise. Yakuza 0 is just phenomenal. We have Yakuza Kiwami, which is a remake of the first Yakuza game. And then we have Kiwami 2, which is a remake of the second Yakuza game. Then we have this remastered collection, which includes Yakuza 3, 4, and 5 remastered from the PS3. I mean, just awesome. I love the way that they did this whole Amore case and stuff. It's just excellent. And you even get this PS3 physical, plastic case in here because this game never actually launched in the US on PS3 physically. So it's just incredible to see that. And of course, Yakuza 6 ending off Kazuma Kiryu's story, although not much because they're still making games with him in it. I'm a huge Yakuza fan, as many of you know. I'm always humbled to hear that a lot of people actually got into the Yakuza series based off my recommendation, and all these games are just really fun story-wise. Yakuza 0, like I said, is probably my favorite in the franchise, but I enjoyed all of these games and stuff, and I really got into the franchise with Yakuza 4 on PS3, and I just went back and played Yakuza 3, then have just played all the games ever since. So just really awesome to see RGG Studio just really just kicking ass and making a ton of games, and in this franchise really becoming a lot about pop culture. That's just awesome. All right, we have my Uncharted games up next. We have the Nathan Drake collection, which is remastered of 1 through 3, Uncharted 4, as well as The Lost Legacy. As many of you guys know, I'm a huge Uncharted fan. I mean, Uncharted 1 was the reason I wanted a PS3 to begin with, and then just, playing through all these games at launch and then playing through them again through the remastered collection was just awesome. I just love these games to death. Uncharted 4 to me was just a beautiful send-off, a perfect send-off for the franchise. And, I don't want to see another Uncharted game. I want to see him move on and do something else. At the very most, I could maybe really want a remake of Uncharted 1, which we were originally supposed to get if Sony didn't shelf it for being too expensive. And I enjoyed The Lost Legacy as a spin-off game, and really enjoyed what they were doing developing Chloe as a main character here. I mean, all these games are just really well put together in their own right. So just really enjoyed playing through these, and just fun games to go back to time and time again. And yeah, that's about all I can say. All right, we have Until Dawn up next. I mean, man, what a shocker. For me, this game really took me by surprise. I really enjoyed it, really had a great time playing through this, and just thought it was awesome. Really shocked as well that we even got a remake of it. It was kind of surprising. I didn't see the movie. I was planning to originally, and then the reviews came out and all said it was pretty bad. So I don't know, maybe down the road I will watch it eventually, but yeah, just interesting, a really fun game at the time, and I'm sure I'll pick up the remake when it gets super cheap eventually. All right, we got my Watch Dogs games up next. We have the original Watch Dogs and Watch Dogs 2. A lot of people shat on the original Watch Dogs when it came out, but I really enjoyed the game. I thought it was good, despite the issues with, you know, the misadvertising and stuff that they were doing for this game originally when it first came out. And then Watch Dogs 2 to me really just was a much better game overall. I enjoyed the location of this and stuff like that. I still think the characters and the narrative of Watch Dogs I enjoyed more, but I still had a good time playing through Watch Dogs 2, and I'm just shocked that we never got an official Watch Dogs 3. I'm not counting Legion, by the way. Legion was just like it felt like a spin-off to me, but I enjoyed these games for what they were. I thought they were a lot of fun. All right, we have Wipeout, the Omega Collection. I love the Wipeout franchise, and seeing both these games remade with native 4K visuals. Actually, in fact, I think it's 3 games. Is it 2 games or 3 games? Because it's the PS Vita game as well as Wipeout HD, which is already a remake of the first game. In any case, these games are just fantastic, and I just really love playing through these, and just excellent, fun games in their own right. And yeah, not much more I can say about it. I love the Wipeout games. And the final PS4 game I have is my Collector's Edition Steelbook for Witcher 3: The Wild Hunt. Absolutely love this game, and you know, I just fell in love with the characters and stuff, and just the overall, you know, the world and whatnot. I played both the DLCs, which were just fantastic and phenomenal. Just sunk so many hours into playing this. It was a lot of fun and just had a great time. So yeah, The Witcher 3, just a fantastic game. I have not played the, you know, complete edition with the remade visuals and stuff like that, but perhaps when I build my new computer, that will be time for me to go back and do that, and maybe do a reminiscing video and stuff. All those years later. That would be a lot of fun. So I really enjoyed my time with this. Oh my god. Ugh. All right, well, I hope you guys enjoyed that long collection. Just to be fully transparent here, this took 3 separate recordings to actually conclude. I did this first initially, and then I would end up talking too much about the games, and this video would end up being almost 2 hours long. So I ended up having to like go back and re-record certain things, and I kind of had to pace myself quickly. And you know, when you talk that long for that many for that much length, I guess at these games, your voice starts to get hoarse and dry. So anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed this video and a look at my Gen 8 collection. Like I said, this is going to be it basically for the foreseeable future. So those are all the games I have for PS4 and Xbox One. I don't plan to get anything else for those systems, but you know, we'll go on from there. All right, so there'll be more collection videos in the future. I do plan to do an updated collection for my Gen 7 collection as well. So perhaps sometime in the near future, we will do that. All right, you guys have a good day. Thank you so much for watching this video, and I'll see you in the next one.